Hi, this is Vicky with Learning Home Volunteers, and we're excited to welcome you back to our second week of Knuffle Bunny. This week, we're on to the second Knuffle Bunny book called Knuffle Bunny 2. This book is about Trixie and her first show and tell at preschool. She is excited to share the details about her precious Knuffle Bunny, but let me warn you, there is trouble ahead. And we also began our last adventure, a trip to the grandparents, which is covered in the third book, Knuffle Bunny Free. Let's be honest, after reading the first one, don't you need a Knuffle Bunny? Well, we certainly did here. And that rabbit has such a cute face, and making one is so easy. In your box, you're going to find a paper bag and some string. You're going to need some paper, think junk mail, to be able to stuff your Knuffle Bunny. One of our volunteers make these great bunnies, and she gives a little guidance for us. One is you want to decorate your bunny with crayons or markers before you start stuffing your bunny. Once you've decorated your bunny, you can actually stuff it up, and you want to stuff it to the bottom of the ears. Once it is stuffed, to create the head, you tie a string around the bottom of the ears. Now, she used ribbon, which is delightful. We provided string for you guys. And she did a great job, but I can't wait to see your Knuffle Bunny. This is activity number 5, Pretend School. We thought it would be a blast for the children to pretend to go to school, or let's be honest, better to teach school. So we've created a set of materials for you and your child to create a pretend school. First, let's start with a roll of paper that is a banner with both letters and numbers. You can color in the objects for the letters, even trace them, and then you can put them up on the wall where it can be displayed while you are actually doing school. But to be a teacher, you're going to need more. You're obviously going to need to take attendance. So we've included a attendance sheet, but you need a writing board, and we have a writing board which has lines on one side and no lines on the other for them to practice their lessons and show the teacher. And then we know your child's going to be a great teacher. So when they want to reward their students, I assume you, we have some gold stars to put on their students' work. We hope when your child is teaching that you pay good attention in class. This is activities number 6. Write your name. And right from kindergarten, the teacher will have them sign their name as they enter in the classroom. They'll have to write their names on papers, and they even have to sign their artwork. All of their personal belongings should have their name on it too. So we thought we would start with that process in your home. And in your bag, you're going to find some wiki sticks and uh, a strip with your child's name on it. It's covered in tape, so you can use the dry eraser marker, it will work on it. But we thought it'd be fun to use wiki sticks. Now, wiki sticks are just pieces of strings covered in wax, and they can be molded into letters. Using these give your child how the actual letter is shaped, and they can be cut into pieces if that makes it easier. But there are so many ways to practice writing their name, and I thought it'd be fun to actually look at some. So this first one uses pieces of papers with letters on the name, and then the parent writes the name, and the child finds each letter and then glues it onto a sheet. Here's an outdoor version. A parent writes their name in chalk, and then the child uses a brush and water to trace the letters. Got some popsicle sticks and some pipe cleaners? Well, you can use these to make your child's name. Write your child's name in very, very big letters on a piece of cardboard, and then they could shape the sticks or the pipe cleaners to make those letters. Or you could make your own color by letter on a piece of cardboard by making bubble letters like we see here, and then assigning a color to each letter. They can actually create a bubble letter thing where they can put each of the different letters in a different color. As you can imagine, There are lots and lots of ideas, and I'm sure you have some too, about working on names. So please pass those up onto class tags so we can all learn a new way. Well, in the last of Knuffle Bunny books, Knuffle Bunny and her owner go to visit their grandparents who live very far away, far enough for us to actually have to take a plane. They're all going to stay with the grandparents, so they're going to need to pack their suitcases for the trip. This activity allows our little learners to work on vocabulary around clothes and their executive planning skills to make sure they will have just what they need for their trip. In your box, you will find a file folder that will act as our suitcase, and inside that file folder, you'll find the packing list and other items. So, our first task for our little learners is to cut the sheet along the black lines so that all of the items to pack are separate. Once you have these, you can color them in and then pack the ones that you want to put in their suitcase. Next, we need to get our luggage tag ready. Now, they can either write their name directly on it, or they can write their name by practicing on a piece of paper and then gluing it on. And there are lots of different ways to help children do this. And the first one is to use a highlighter for them to actually trace. We see here that the adult has written the letter and highlighter, and then the child traces that highlighter letter. The second way is actually using dot tracing like this. You put dots in the shape of the letter, and then the child actually connects the dots. Or you could use dashed letters. Uh, the plus about dashed letters is it shows the directions of the lines, which is kind of nice. And using these lines sometimes help the children understand the strokes that are needed to make the letter. And once we have our documents all in order and our luggage tag done, we need to get our documents. And for most of our learners have never traveled by plane, bus, or taxi. So part of the experience that we want them to live through the book's journey and the transports to get to use that they actually have to use to get to the grandparents. Now, when you go to the airport, you'll have to go to the ticket counter and check your luggage with its luggage tag, and it'll be stored in the bottom of the plane. It goes through a scanner, and we can see they've made one out of cardboard box. How cute is that? And they require a luggage tag on the luggage to make sure it's going to get to your destination. At the counter, you're going to get a ticket, and the ticket will tell you where to board your plane and what your seat is. And you can actually fill in their name and a flight number and then pretend to go through security and down to the gate. Once you get to the gate, when it's time to get on board, the ticket clerk will announce the boarding. And when you go to them, they will check your ticket and your passport, and then you'll get to go onto the seat and find your seat in the airplane. On the plane, they may serve snacks or sometimes even a meal. Sometimes they have movies to watch, or maybe you've brought something to play with to pass the time. When you arrive, you're going to get off the plane, get your luggage, and continue to grandmother's house. Phew, what a long journey. But once you arrive, your grandparents are going to be so excited to see you.